But I always choose a stock of the day that is in the news. And Telstra certainly is in the news this morning, selling its 49% stake in its mobile tower business for just shy of $3 billion. Yes, that's how much those mobile towers are worth, and set to return half the proceeds to shareholders. A consortium of 3 funds will take up the stake in Infraco Towers, with the deal valuing the entire business at about $6 billion, and Telstra returning that to shareholders. Henry Jennings, Telstra has been a bit of a favourite of many of the panellists here on the call for about the last 3 months or so. Now we know why. What do you think of the deal, and also Telstra's share price, which has shot up?
Yeah, thanks, David. I guess it's kind of ironic, really, that the Future Fund is part of the consortium that's buying the towers when the Future Fund was actually seeded by the sale of the Telstra shares in the first place. So there's a certain sort of circularity, if that's the right word, to this. I guess as far as Telstra goes, I've been quite keen on Telstra for a while. I created a 6-stock, really easy basket for people that are saving for a house deposit to look at, and Telstra was part of that deposit basket, and it has gone pretty well since I recommended it around $3.30. And there's a lot of things to like about Telstra, and I guess Andy Penn is coming to the pointy end of his plan to transform Telstra. I think it's called T22, but maybe it's T23 because of COVID. But certainly this has been a long-term plan to separate the business, and part of that plan was to sell off these towers, which I think has been a pretty good move for Telstra, and it certainly will help in terms of capital management for them and rewarding shareholders. So I don't mind this deal. I don't mind Telstra. It's boring, it's dull, it yields 4.2% fully franked, with potentially more now because of this deal that they have done. And there's a lot of things to like about dull businesses sometimes, even when all the more sexy businesses are going well. Telstra has been a steady achiever, shall we say, and maybe Andy Penn's somewhat on the right track now. And this, he did the deal a little bit before the market had anticipated as well, which is another positive. And I think there's more to come as we go forward. And of course, as 5G takes a bit more of a hold in the community.
Okay, so you like Telstra at these prices?
I like them more at $3.30, but at $3.75 or wherever they are now, I think they've still got $4 written all over them, to be honest, David. So I think they're still a buy, but not quite as much enthusiasm as lower prices. But I think even at these levels, they will continue to go higher with the yield, the attraction, 5G, the attraction, and of course
because they've got
now,
more to sell off too, haven't they?
They have. They've got other things to sell off. And they've made some canny investments in some of the health tech space as well, which has served them well. And I know Andy Penn is sort of seen as a bit daggy by some, but sometimes dull and boring and the tortoise can beat the hare at the end of the day. So I still like Telstra. Yes, it's a buy from me.
Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, a good mate of mine once described Telstra as technicati. And
I think that was me.
Correct. That's why I referenced it. That's why I referenced it to my friend above me here. So it's and Henry, as usual, is bang on. And picking it up at 3.30 was great buying. I think it's a buy here as well. That structural separation that they've got of the business, we're starting to see the fruits of that. And that buyback likely to be on market. That seems to be the view at the moment. $1.4 billion on market buyback. That'll probably happen sometime next financial year. And that's around 3% of the shares that will be bought back. So obviously that's a positive for earnings per share. Probably the only thing I'd be mindful of is Telstra is that special dividend is in there, because that NBN money continues to help fund part of the dividend. So if for whatever reason they suddenly had some growth aspirations, whereas Telstra at the moment is the levers they're pulling is more around cost control, that T22 and obviously 5G that Henry just referenced before. But parking that as an aside, I'm still happy to buy it. I know consensus is about 380, so we're getting pretty close to that. But there's still plenty of more value that can be unlocked in this business and supported by that strong fully franked dividend along the way.
Okay, all right, good report there on Telstra.